if you are following your 401k, this next segment is for you. The invasion of Ukraine definitely having an effect on the U.S. economy, from stocks trending down to skyrocketing oil prices. But how does the Russia-Ukraine crisis affect your investment and retirement planning? Financial advisor and CPA David Peters joins us now. And boy, you are getting a lot of calls these days right now, because if you look at Wall Street, you cry. So tell me what I should be looking for and what I should not be looking at.
Well, I think that the biggest thing, especially with retirement planning, is looking at how long you're really planning on having those investments. I mean, so, if I'm younger, then, I may have many, many years before I'm actually going to retire. If that's the case, I'm not sure that I'm really looking to make major moves in my portfolio if I'm not actually going to need the money for 40 years. If, however, I am, getting near retirement, then maybe we want to make some moves to maybe go to some more liquid investments to maybe insulate us a little bit from some of the volatility that we've seen in the markets and are probably likely to see for the next few months, for sure.
David, an investor told me, don't pay attention to the number on Wall Street, pay attention to the percentage. And he pointed out that the largest one-day loss on Wall Street, I believe, was 33%, which the number wouldn't have even been a blip on today's Wall Street, but it was a huge loss for the market. But we see these big numbers. We see 800, 900 points in one direction or another direction. How do we not panic?
Well, I think that is where patience really has to control. I mean, you're going to see the markets go up and down every day. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of red numbers here more recently, and that's where I think that we have to realize, especially for something like retirement planning, like you were talking about just a minute ago, that's where patience is really important. It is hard. It's a very volatile market right now. It was volatile coming into the year. I think that the war in Ukraine has made that worse. It's made what has already been a volatile year even more volatile.
We all like to think that we know how to do your job better than you do. You probably hear it from your clients all the time. But when I hear that oil is at $115 a barrel, should I be moving into energy stocks? Should I be moving away from energy stocks? What stocks are hot and which? You just whispered in my ear because the rest of the audience doesn't know. Where should I put my money?
I think it depends on how you are feeling about the markets on the whole. If you are in a situation where maybe you're not really using the money that you have in your portfolio right now, maybe you don't do much of anything. I mean, generally when you're younger, you take on more risk in the portfolio, which generally means more stocks. If you're maybe getting a little bit closer to needing the money in your portfolio, maybe you want to look at something that's maybe a little bit more liquid, things like treasuries, money markets, tips. If you're looking for particular sectors, during inflationary times, at least historically, things like household goods have done pretty well in terms of insulating the portfolio from heavy inflation. Possibly things like REITs might be something to look at, but it's ultimately you have to be able to sleep at night. And so we can talk about investment theory, but ultimately, I mean, we have to figure out whether or not you're okay with kind of the volatility that I think you're likely to see, at least for the next year, as companies kind of straighten out after COVID.
If I am that age where I can pull my money out of the market, what would be the markers that you would put out there to tell me when I might want to do that and when I might want to, in other words, when do I hold them and when do I fold them?
Yeah, I think that's going to, again, really depend on the individual person. Generally, I mean, if we can keep our money in the market longer, I like that better than, necessarily just getting out of the market completely. I think, that is not necessarily a good move, because the thing is that if you get completely out of the market, then you're not a part of the upswing either. So, so I do think that it really depends on the individual person. person. If they don't need the money, then probably keeping that money in the portfolio is probably the way to go. If they need to take that money out, well, then then we're going to make some moves to try to make it so that they have the money that they need to live and to reach their financial goals, whatever those happen to be.
David, bottom line being, a lot of African Americans don't realize, they say, well, I don't play stocks, but they have a retirement account. They have a 401k. What percentage of our money in our 401ks is actually wrapped up in the markets? And whether we choose to admit it or not, we're playing your game?
I mean, the vast majority of your money is going to be in the markets in one form or another. I mean, if you're saving for retirement, I mean, unless the entire portfolio is in cash, it's you're going to have a large percentage of your money in the markets, whether you realize it or not. I think that you make a great point. I think some people don't really realize, how much they depend on the market. That's the way that we save for retirement, is we take that money that you're deferring every paycheck and we put it to work. And so everyone, to at least some degree, is dependent on what the markets do.
David, I appreciate it, because a lot of people are wondering right now what they should do and whether or not they should go out and buy a mattress. I recommend one of those ones that has the foam, because they're easier to hollow out and put your money inside. David Peters is a CPA and financial advisor, and he's smiling because he got it. David, thanks for joining us.